Rolex, one of the world's most iconic and recognizable luxury brands. The Giant of Geneva. The Rolex GMT Master II is quite possibly the most easily recognized and famous GMT style watch. Indeed, Rolex was one of the first companies back in the 1950s to first popularize the GMT style watch, which stands for Greenwich Mean Time, when it produced watches for then Pan American Airlines for their pilots to use to tell the difference in two different time zones at once, as they often traversed them. The GMT Master II, introduced in 1983, is an incredible watch, but that incredible watch also comes at an incredible price. The GMT Master II retails for $9,250 US. For those of us who don't happen to have a spare $9,250 hanging around for an excellent timepiece, we need to look at other options. Today on the Keyless Works, we'll take a look at some of the best budget alternatives to the Rolex GMT Master II if you're looking for a GMT style watch. Hey guys, welcome to the Keyless Works. As I said, today we're discussing GMT style watches. GMT style watch is really useful if you happen to be a business traveler or travel across multiple time zones. Or what I find most useful is for keeping track of family members or friends in different countries. If you want to know what time it is, if you want to make a call or anything like that, they're really, really useful. The most famous, obviously, as I said before, is the Rolex GMT Master II, which was released in 1983, but it kind of puts itself out of the price range of most people who aren't looking for a luxury style watch. What I'm going to do with these kind of reviews is I'll set out some what I feel are really, really good budget alternatives to the Rolex GMT Master II, and I'll give a different range. I'll give a more intro range, a more intermediate price range, and then I'll give a suggested more higher value, but obviously nothing close to $9,250 US. Now, I'm not going to make it a secret on this channel, but I absolutely love Timex watches. They provide a quality watch at an extremely reasonable price, and quite frankly, recently Timex has just been killing it with two of their watches literally selling out within 15 minutes of being available for sale. The Q Timex reissue, a reissue of one of their quartz watches from the 1970s, and the Pac-Man edition of the T80, which is a 1980 style watch, literally sold out within 15 minutes. It's really, really hard to get these things, and for good reason. They're really, really good watches. Timex has just been on an absolute tear lately. So our first watch today comes to us from the Wizards of Waterbury, Connecticut. It's the Allied 3 GMT 43mm leather strap watch, which retails for about 259 Canadian dollars. The watch comes mounted on an attractive black leather bracelet and features a unidirectional rotating GMT style bezel slashed with a dark blue and black color, very reminiscent of the Rolex Batman style Explorer or GMT Master II. The watch has an independently setting 24-hour GMT hand, which features a orange colored arrow style hand, which is controlled by the push button at the 2 o'clock position. The watch can display time in 3 different time zones, which is extremely useful if you have family and friends all over the world. The attractive sword-style hands feature Timex's own in-house loom, and at 43mm, it's a great size. This watch is really, really high on my wish list, and in true Timex value fashion, features water resistance up to 100 meters, and it even has Indiglow, so if you're in complete darkness, you can still use the watch. Again, really beautiful watch, really, really highly reviewed online, and it's definitely next on my list of watches that I personally want to buy. Moving along, the next watch we're going to take a look at is the Orient Polaris GMT from the Orient Watch Company. If you've never heard of the Orient Watch Company, you can check out my review of another Orient watch by clicking the tag above, and I also give some background on the company. Basically, Orient, if you don't know, is known for making extremely well-made watches for an insane value, really. The Orient Polaris GMT is no different, coming in at $370 US. and for this you get a beautiful 42mm stainless steel watch. The dial is a gorgeous creamy off-white color accentuated with guilloche patterning on the dial, offset with gorgeous deep cobalt blue hands, sword style, and a diamond-shaped GMT hand that tracks the 24-hour chapter ring within the 42mm case. The movement is Orient's own in-house movement 40P51, and again, in true Orient fashion, it is automatic hand winding, hacking. Comes with a 40-hour power reserve with a power reserve indicator at the 12 o'clock position. The watch also comes at this price range with sapphire crystal, 50 meters of water resistance, and 22mm lugs. The watch comes paired with a gorgeous brown leather strap. Again, this watch probably shouldn't exist. I honestly don't know how they make money on this watch at this price point, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Some of the features you don't see on watches of this price range, like the guilloche patterning on the dial, and the beautiful, machined applied indices that come in this beautiful brushed stainless steel, as well as the contrasting high polished stainless steel on the lugs and the and again on the other side of the case. And the case back is a clear case back, so you can see the beautiful Orient movement here. And again, this is an in-house movement too. And again, right now you can get it for $370, and that's just begging you to buy this watch. Again, very highly, very well reviewed, and personally, man, there's just so many watches I want, and this is definitely one of them. Very, very high on my list. It's going to be a very tough decision to make. The next watch on our list is the Seiko SUN 065 P1, which I've nicknamed Sunny, along with some of the other more fun nicknames that Seiko watches have. This watch is a bit of a dark horse when it comes to GMT watches, because this is actually a diver's watch, part of the Paddy edition of Seiko's Prospex watches. This one, interestingly enough, features a kinetic movement, which is a bit of a hybrid between an automatic mechanical watch and a battery-powered watch, in that it uses a rotor, just like an automatic watch, but instead of charging a mainspring, it charges a battery, which has, I believe, like a 6-month power reserve on full charge, which is just awesome. This is a very attractive watch. Again, stainless steel with a very comfortable looking black silicone strap, featuring movement 5M85, which is a kinetic movement. You've got sapphire crystal over a gorgeous blue sunburst style dial. The hands, which are these dive style hands, arrow style hands, are marked with Seiko's LumiBrite technology, which is a gorgeous lume, which you can see here. And again, as it's a dive watch, it has the one-way rotating bezel, and this one actually has these really cool guards along the side. I don't know if that's reminiscent of any other of Seiko's dive watches, but it's just really cool at the 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock position to have these guards there. It looks like it'd be really easy to turn the bezel, and again, not to accidentally knock it. As this is a GMT watch, we do have the addition of a third GMT hand, which is like a skeletonized red hand that tracks the inner 24-hour chapter ring, and it's also got a push button at the 2 o'clock position to adjust the GMT hand separately from the hour hand. Again, featuring, since it's a dive watch, it has a screw-down crown, screw-down case back as well. You got a date complication in there, 200 meters of water resistance, and Seiko just makes amazing tool watches and dive watches. I'd really love to have one of these. I have an Orient dive watch, which I love, but this just looks so much fun. And again, it's not super expensive. It's definitely higher on the price range than the first two watches we looked at, but coming in at around 661 Canadian dollars. It's probably close to like $575 US. Again, but a really great value. Excellent, well-made watches. Great history from Seiko. And it's just a beautiful watch. And as a bonus, it has a GMT function built in, which is why it's in this review, even though it's a dive watch. But again, a bit of a dark horse candidate here, but again, gorgeous watch. Definitely recommend Seiko watches. the last watch on our list is actually the granddaddy of all GMT watches, and it comes from a company, a Swiss watch company that you may not have heard before, Glycine. The Glycine Airman was actually the first GMT watch, beating the Rolex GMT Master, and launched in 1953. Glycine actually made military watches for military pilots, and they went with the Airman, which was the first watch to show time, GMT style, that's in 24-hour time. So they've been making aviation watches for quite a while, and if you haven't heard of Glycine, just a brief history about them. They were founded in 1914 by Eugène Mélin, who was they mention he is an uncompromising watch engineer, and he was specializing at the time actually in making really small intricate movements for ladies' watches, and he eventually moved into making these military watches, which are just bulletproof and really awesome. So the Airman DC4 GMT watch is a really striking piece. It's quite interesting in terms of watches. Again, it has that 24-hour dial and the GMT hand. It's also got the Cyclops lens, very similar to like the Submariner, and it's got a really cool bezel system. So you can have your 3 time zones. You have your reference time zone, you have the time zone shown by the GMT hand, and you can also rotate the bezel very similar to the Timex GMT Master to show a 3rd time zone. But they've got this really cool little locking mechanism at the 4 o'clock position that basically screws in and the teeth mesh with the crenellations on the bezel and just lock it in place, which is just really cool. It's got a big, sturdy, substantial crown, and it's got a very premium, very heavy look to it, and it comes mounted on this attractive jet black NATO strap. They call it a pilot strap. The watch itself is a automatic Swiss automatic movement, reference number GL293. The attractive sword hands, the striking sword hands, and the numerals are all with Swiss superluminova, so they're very bright. Again, a stainless steel case with 22mm lugs featuring a domed sapphire crystal, and this will give you water resistance to 200 meters, and it's a 42mm watch, so it's a very good size for your average male wrist. And again, it's got this striking black, pilot style dial that's just really appealing. Again, this is a Swiss made watch, which means the movement is made completely in Switzerland, and the watch is cased and quality controlled in Switzerland as well. And that does command a bit more of a premium price. This watch will, again, is on the high end of what I would recommend as an alternative. It comes in at, usually I've found it about just over 1,000 Canadian dollars, or about maybe 860 to 900 US dollars, but you're really getting a heritage with this watch. Again, this is the grandfather of all GMT watches. Very well made, very sturdy, very military spec type watch, striking, polished and brushed surfaces. Again, the crown and the guard on that have a really substantial feel. It's almost like Oris with that big crown on it. A very typical of a pilot style watch, something very easy to manipulate when you're wearing gloves. And again, it just has a lot of really cool features to it. And you flip it over and look at the exhibition case back. The rotor is I guess it's etched with Glycine Airman, and it's got this little picture of a World War II style fighter plane on it with the propeller, and it's just a really cool watch. And again, there's so many good alternatives out there. I mean, I love the Rolex GMT Master II. I really want that watch. If I had a spare $10,000 kicking around, I'd buy it today. I'm actually saving up for one of them. I really want it. But in the meantime, with all these great alternatives out there, it's really hard to save money when there's all these other great options out there. Again, you can't go wrong with any of these watches. So, what do you guys think? Which one's your favorite? Did I miss any other really good alternatives to the GMT Master, Rolex GMT Master II? Or, what do you think? Let me know. Make sure you click subscribe. And looking forward to hearing back in the comments about what you guys think. Thank you.